So, Venom, the sequel. I know what you motherfuckers are here for, so let's get into it. Right off the gate, this movie's coming in at a quick hour and a half. I definitely thought it was going to be a 2-hour flick, so I was a little surprised when I saw that timeline. But hour and a half for what it was, I liked it. I gotta be honest, this is not gonna be a spoiler-free review, so if you're looking for something with no spoilers in the movie, get the fuck out of here, because I'm gonna say some shit at some point that's gonna be in the movie, so don't make it weird. So we start the movie off, and this movie I think did a very good job of just kind of telling the story, but in a very quick fashion. Granted, I do feel like I wish there was a little bit more. It did feel like there was a little bit of maybe a time constraint or something, because the hour and a half just felt not rushed necessarily, but it felt like it could have been more polished. There was more to be said in the movie, I feel like, but for what was told, it did do a very good job just getting straight to the point. It wasn't any bullshit necessarily, no political agendas in the movie. This is just 100% pure Carnage fun. Let's just jump right in and make some symbiote shit happen. To really get into the characters, I thought Woody Harrelson did a great job. I'm not going to sit here and go through all the actors, but I think Woody Harrelson did a good impression of Carnage. He definitely got that lunatic shit going on, which maybe I'm biased from my Natural Born Killer days, but I just love seeing him play a wacky motherfucker. It's nice. And he did a good job for what the Carnage character is supposed to be. I wasn't really sure how they were going to pull off the Carnage character. I know with the Venom thing, they have Venom embodying kind of his own character now, so it was interesting to see how they were going to take it. Yeah, they essentially split Carnage into a symbiote and Cletus Cassidy, which I didn't hate. It made sense. Having Cletus and Carnage kind of be their own sort of entity where they're not separated. It makes no sense for the symbiotes. In the comics it did, but in the movie it's just a lot easier, let's be honest. Plus, you get that cool symbiote dynamic that Venom and Eddie have, which I was a big fan of. I like that they do that in the movies now, starting from the first one, where Venom just talks shit, man. And he does a really good job of talking shit in this movie. Big fan of that. That was some of the funniest parts. There isn't as much action as I would have assumed in a movie featuring Carnage. I mean, or at least action scenes. Not to say that there weren't good ones, but it just kind of, the pace was a little slower than I thought it would be, considering it's a Venom movie, you know. Sorry, the focus not doing great. All in all, I thought the movie did well for telling the story that it did tell. I was kind of also interested in the Shriek thing. They didn't feel like too much of a forced romance. I mean, I don't really think of Carnage as a, hey, I'm going to take you out to fucking dinner kind of guy, but for what the romance story was that him and Shriek had, I was alright with it. Could have gone without it and would have been fine, but I wasn't upset that it was there. And then you did have that strange dynamic of Carnage not really being a fan of Shriek, because that bitch can scream. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Obviously, he's not going to like her. That was interesting, having Cletus and Carnage be their own separate characters in that sort of way where they almost conflicted with each other. So much more at the end there. Yeah, that axe is going to pop out once in a while. Fucking deal with it. So to just kind of get more into the spoiler stuff, Detective Mulligan coming in, he came back. Obviously, we had Eddie Brock coming back. Anne came back. And that was good. They all nailed it. Good, solid performances. Nobody did terrible there. We start the movie off with Carnage. Obviously, isn't a thing yet. It's Cletus in the prison. We have him just asking for Eddie to come by, which, why would you ask for just some random reporter guy? The bromance thing was a little bit of a stretch, but it's okay. You know, Cletus apparently likes his random paparazzi. That's totally fine. Cool reporters. He asks for Brock to come down. He goes over to the prison cell. They have their little back and forth. And somehow or another, Cletus ends up biting Eddie Brock and then absorbs the symbiote that way, obviously. Which I was intrigued on how they were going to do that, because from what I remember back in like the Fox Kids cartoon, you essentially just had Eddie Brock and him in a jail cell together, and then Eddie breaks out when he becomes Venom, and Venom leaves a symbiote behind, and that became Carnage, who fused with him on like a molecular bloodstream level or some shit. We get to this point now where he has the Carnage symbiote inside him, he's about to get fucking murked, and then blah, Carnage pops out, kills everybody right there in the vicinity that was there to watch him die. And then we have this crazy scene where he's going through the jail cell killing people, which is, I guess, I don't know. Honestly, there's a few scenes where Venom's going around doing Venom shit, you know. This is kind of like the first action scene, I guess you could say. And it's basically just Carnage running around fucking shit up in the jail cells, lets a bunch of prisoners out, and then just turns this fucking warden into a snack. Yeah. Carnage needs a Snickers because he kind of turns into a dick when he's hungry. He goes through the jail cell, just whomps everybody up, gets out. First thing he does, find his love interest, he frees Shriek, and then they go on this rampage together. It was okay, you know, it wasn't bad. For the tornado scene was a little much, I'm not gonna lie. And if you know what I'm talking about, it was a little excessive. This just gigantic tendrils and fucking things going around everywhere. Got a little weird. It's not exactly how I expected him to kill the guy, but I'll take it. Whatever. It's comics. We get through, and eventually Mulligan ends up getting captured. They have him be this person that took Shriek's eye 20 years ago, or whatever the fuck it was. Okay, not that long. I don't know. I smoked a little before this, so sorry if I'm a little spacey. He shoots Shriek. She loses her eye. She's just holding this fucking grudge against him, as one would. Carnage ends up snagging Anne as well. But prior to that, it was a little bit of the same. You just have that weird, hey, Venom, I don't want you eating brains, bro. And then Eddie's just sitting over here like, we're gonna be good guys, you know, but we're not gonna like kill people. Venom's like, bruh, I gotta eat, dog. Chocolate chickens, this shit ain't cutting it. It's a little bit of a rehash, I feel, just from the first movie, because I felt like we kind of went over this already. They have their trials, tribulations, and at the end of the day, they come together, kill Riot, and they're homies. And now it's like, okay, what, a few months later, we're just gonna pretend that we didn't think this was gonna, like, come about? You ate somebody's brain at the end of the first movie. All of a sudden, we're just not cool with it. Alright. Well, I guess you gotta have a conflict there, and I suppose Eddie and Venom going their separate ways is the best way to do it in their eyes. You gotta have that stereotypical hero loses his power moment for a little while, I guess. They come together and they all go to this cathedral where Carnage is gonna go marry Shriek. Cool. And so you gotta have the climax of everybody's in danger, and then Venom's coming to rescue the day. So they start their own thing. The thing I wasn't expecting was Mulligan. For those of you who aren't super familiar, I'm not a big comic book aficionado, was what I'd say, but I know a little bit of shit about characters I like, okay? I didn't really read a lot of comics growing up, but YouTube's fucking awesome now. Like Spider-Man universe, bah, there's like 38,000 videos on all the random shit you can look up on Spider-Man. So, through all this knowledge, I know that there is this character called Toxin. And the interesting thing was, in this movie, you have obviously the scene where Mulligan gets fucking destroyed by Shriek. I thought she had killed him, honestly, for a minute. And then, randomly, through some other scene, you just see Mulligan's eyes glowing. And he's just like saying, monsters, fucking monsters everywhere. As far as I know, I think that becomes the character of Toxin, because Carnage has a symbiote offspring, just like Venom had his, which became Carnage, and that became the symbiote of Toxin, who I want to say went like into a fucking cop at some point when he first became a symbiote. So like I said, I need to do more lore exploration. I probably should have looked some shit up before I made this video. Yeah, that is something I wasn't really expecting. So much Carnage information so quickly. I was happy to see the motherfucker on screen. I didn't think they were going to throw a second symbiote in there as well. Mulligan's fucking pretty much out of commission at this point. I don't even know if they show him again at the entire rest of the movie. But Venom comes together. You have this moment when they're fighting, going back and forth. Carnage kind of gets the upper hand. And then this is the first like moment I feel like where Carnage and Cletus sort of have their disputes is with Shriek. Of course, the woman somehow or another gets in the way. Of all the powers she has, it's yelling real loud. The one thing that actually kind of hurts Carnage and makes him want to kind of take her out. So with that being the only point of contention, otherwise they would have fucking won for sure. But that's, you know, how it goes in these movies. So she screams. He doesn't like that. She yells again. And Carnage is like, you know what? Gotta be honest. You're kind of annoying me. Shut the fuck up. He starts to hurt her. Cletus is like, nah, dog, that's not cool. That's my lady. They start going at it, which gives Venom the opportunity to do his shit. You know how it goes. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Venom wins. But here's where things get interesting. He ends up going over. Venom at this point, they reconstitute, become one with Brock, because they all get separated, you know, the bell, sonic ring, whatever. Carnage is making his way back to Cletus. Venom comes over and steps on him. And then, in a way that would make McGruff the crime dog so fucking proud, Venom just takes a bite out of crime and eats Carnage. Just fucking nom 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 that motherfucker, okay? I gotta say, I didn't see that coming. That was actually pretty dope, because I just expected them to somehow or another have Carnage have a little thing go away. And then, just to make things even better, he grabs Cletus up and he's like, hey bro, I just wish me and you could have been friends. And Eddie's like, yeah, sorry about that, dog. You know, my bad, fam. And Cletus is like, I threw so many signals out to you and you just weren't picking them up. And Venom's like, yeah, fuck this guy. And bites his face off. Venom talking shit was some of the best moments in the movie. Especially because you don't expect Venom to be a comedic character. But in a way, he kind of has become a comedic superhero. And it's working. I did not know how badly I wanted to hear Venom say, fuck this guy, until I heard Venom say, fuck this guy. That's the most annoying part, because at first I was like, oh no, don't make him like the comic relief guy. But it works so fucking well. The back and forth between Eddie and Venom is just like believable. All in all, I would have to say the movie did well. I definitely wish it had been a little bit longer. I don't know exactly what it is I wanted, but I do feel like I kind of left the movie feeling like there could have been more fleshed out. And I don't know how exactly. I mean, you got Cletus as a pretty straightforward dude. He fucking grew up killing his family, getting beat up, and didn't like people, so he murders them. Yeah. One girl he liked, Shriek, wham bam, thank you ma'am. They had the love triangle between Cletus, Carnage, and Shriek there, which was just interesting, I guess. And then Anne and Eddie obviously having their weird relationship. It was good. It was good for what it was, and it was just a quick experience. And honestly, just to see Carnage on the big screen was super fucking nice. For anyone who, in my era, growing up playing Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis games, it was impossible to get through a day for a few years there in the 90s without seeing something about Maximum Carnage. For me, it was always super dope because it had that red cartridge like Doom, which was one of the few games that had that. And I always wanted to play it, but I never did get to because it was just so hard to find. I had a Super Nintendo, and I really fucking wanted that game, but it's fine, not salty. I got separation anxiety though. We don't got to talk about that game. It's fine. So that was my introduction to Carnage as a kid. That and the Fox Kids show that was on. That show was just so good. Anybody who grew up with that nostalgia of Maximum Carnage, man, this has just been such a nice treat. To see him as a character in a cartoon and a video game, and then I just really loved Venom already. I just grew up wanting to see those two. To now be able to see them on screen together and to have just a good cast playing the character, it's a dream fucking come true. And it's gonna leave the gate open for more, obviously. And then you have this whole Spider-Man thing at the end with the teaser. So many potential ideas with what that could be. Definitely something crazy happened there at the end with that little post-credit scene. If you didn't see it, basically you have Venom. He is in a retreat with Eddie. They're on vacation doing their thing, and he's like, fuck yeah, bro, Mai Tais, let's go. Venom kind of tells him, yeah, man, it's crazy all the shit I know. And Eddie's like, what you talking about, dog? And he's like, bro, if I gave you a glimpse of the 80 billion years worth of knowledge that the symbiote hive mind has, it put your dick in the dirt. You can't handle it, dog. Eddie's like, whoa, bro, come on. How much could you possibly know? Like, all right, I'm gonna give you a little sample of that ass, okay? And we're just gonna see how you react. Let's just see how your bitch ass reacts. The scene starts with him, and you don't know if he made a connection or if it was just gonna start, but then the whole, scenery changes. It kind of has that dimensional rift feel, kind of like the same sort of Doctor Strange kind of vibes. Next thing you know, he's in another room, but the same room. It's the same room, but there's little things just moved that just weren't there 2 seconds ago. Looking around like, what the fuck's going on? And you look up at the TV, and Peter Parker, Tom Holland, is on the TV, and Venom just goes up, starts licking the screen and shit, and he's like, ooh, this guy. I want to fucking take a bite out of that guy. And this naked dude pops out, and he's like, what you doing in my room, dog? And Eddie's like, I don't know, man. I'm just looking for a good time. That's the end of it. And so you don't really know if it's because Venom tried to connect his hive mind to Eddie, or could it potentially be that it has something to do with this Doctor Strange temporal rift thing that's going on in the new Spider-Man movie? You don't know. Obviously, they're not going to say anything, but they just give you these little teases and hints that just get your nipples hard. You walk out the theater with a slight chub, but it's one of those confusion boners. It's interesting now to see where this is going to go, because there are a lot of potentials. I did watch the Loki series on Disney, so with that whole multiverse theory coming about at the end of that, and then you have this Doctor Strange thing that's also going into the multiverse shit, I'm very interested to see kind of what's the reasoning, what happened in Venom. The easiest one to connect is kind of the Doctor Strange one, because it's Spider-Man and it's Venom. We've been wanting these motherfuckers in the movie together for so long. Sorry, Topher Grace. I don't count you. It's so easy to connect those dots and just hope and assume that that is why. But with the Loki thing, there's obviously a lot of magical shit that's going to go on in this Marvel universe. So maybe it had something to do with the multiverse Kang. I just said Krang. This ain't Ninja Turtles. God damn. Kang the Conqueror just getting ganked, and that whole theory of potential universe shit throwing off Venom. Well, the Venom universe, anyway. There's a lot of potential reasons and excuses for what this could be. If anyone, by the way, is wanting to learn more about comic stuff, I would highly recommend going to see a channel called Comics Explained. The guy just breaks shit down so well, and he not only narrates kind of what's in the comic themselves, but he breaks down what's kind of behind the meaning of what it is they're saying, in case maybe there was something cryptic in there that you didn't quite catch or decipher the first time just reading it through. I did watch some recent shit, and recently there was a gentleman named Donny Cates who made a run with Venom, and fuck, man, that run was amazing. For anybody who hasn't read it or watched it, it started off, or at least I started off around I think it was called Maximum Carnage, or Absolute Carnage. I can't quite remember what the title was, but essentially you have Carnage get resurrected, and in a chain of events, he brings forth Null, the god of the symbiotes. And Null controls the hive mind of the symbiotes. I don't want to give too much away, but read this story. It's fucking amazing. I definitely would highly recommend. This reason I'm bringing it up is maybe the connection with Eddie to the hive mind. What if that triggered something? Now, don't get me wrong. This Null dude, from what I've read, is so fucking god tier. I can't imagine they would bring him into this Marvel universe right now. Venom's so new. The only way that they took Null out in this story was just through an insane amount of hard work and shit that I just don't think that this Venom Marvel universe character has the accolades for just yet. He's gonna get there. He's just nowhere near a seasoned enough character to do the kind of shit that happened in that comic. That being said, I just don't see Null being brought forth just yet. But it could be a Thanos thing, you know, like when they reference Thanos fucking years prior to ever bringing him into the Avengers stories. Maybe this is a teaser for Null, potentially Venom making this link with Eddie through the Hive, awakening Null in some way, shape, or form. Who knows? I don't fucking know. We don't need to get into that. The review of this movie is, for what it is, I liked it. It was quicker than I wished it had been as far as the story, but as somebody who grew up watching Spider-Man, Fox, kids cartoon, and just Maximum Carnage was just everywhere as a child growing up. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing Red. So there's the hype of this character has been built up for, I feel like, so many decades that it's almost to a point where I feel like they couldn't have reached the expectation, you know, even if they have tried. That first screening of Carnage is just gonna be so fucking hard to really encapsulate what all of us Carnage fans really wanted to see. But I think for what they did, it was a good job. Sure as fuck did better than Topher Grace's Venom in that first Venom outing. So if Venom can redeem from that, Carnage is going to be fine with this. I mean, you had Woody Harrelson, for fuck's sake, playing the character. How do you go wrong? I just got a quarter chub just saying that out loud. I mean, come on, that actor is so good. Gotta say, good job. I'm excited to see where shit goes. But, all right, later, nerds.